Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this episode, we're going to come around and upgrade some of our older trains and vehicles around the map, and then I think we're going to start to get a cargo hub ready and put together so that we can start thinking about how we're going to distribute our goods in the future. So I want to start off with this line here, since this was probably one of our older trains that we have currently running on our train line. We can take a look here in the details. It's pretty old, over 20 years old. I believe its top speed is 62 miles an hour, which isn't bad, but still not as fast as some of our other trains. So let's come in here, manage vehicles on the line, and replace these three trains. Now we are starting to get some electric trains and diesel trains unlocked, but I don't think I want to use any of them yet. I think I still want to go with steam trains, as we're still unlocking those, and those are for the most part cheaper than a lot of the electric and diesel trains that we have currently unlocked. Alright, so I think this is the train that we're going to replace it with. We ended up going with this 422 Hiawatha engine. I really want to get in and use some different trains. I want that to sort of be a challenge for this, since it's really easy to just fall into using one engine for everything. And I really want to give some variety and sort of flavor to some of the lines that we have on this map. So I think this one works pretty well. It gets up to top speed fairly quickly, and it still holds a decent amount of passengers, as we're using these BC4 cars. So we'll try this out and see how that goes. So here's that new train coming into the station. I think it looks pretty good. I like the look of this steam engine. So it should pick up a full load of people, I think, here, unless they're for somewhere else, but it looks like this is leaving with a full load of passengers, so that's good to see, and it should hopefully make us a lot more money than what it used to. So as we're coming through and upgrading some of these trains, I think we want to make sure now that our main passenger line is fully upgraded with high-speed rail, since we do have a few cars and trains that are able to go that fast. So we'll just come in here, do the upgrade tool, and upgrade all the tracks along this line. Alright, so now we have all of this track upgraded to high-speed rail. We can now continue to go through and upgrade our different trains and bus networks. So the next train that I want to upgrade is the one that runs on this line that comes out to Winston-Salem and Albuquerque, since we have a ton of people waiting to go to Albuquerque, so it seems like new trains are very much needed on this line. Alright, and for this train we're going to go with the Class A3 Flying Scotsman with more of those BC4 cars behind it, since that matches the top speed, I believe. We come back here and check. So this will match the top speed of 75 miles an hour, which I think is a good standard to sort of set for our main line. And we'll replace that, and hopefully with the increased capacity, these trains can begin carrying much more people. And here comes our new train. I think this one looks pretty good. I think we might come in and change the colors out. So we'll replace it with this somewhat darker green. Maybe we'll go a little darker, because I think that'll match sort of the engine's original color. We'll wait for that to leave the station, and then we'll move on to the next train. So yeah, the color doesn't look too terrible on this engine, and the cars look pretty decent as well, so I'm happy leaving it how it is. and moving on to the next part. And another thing I think we want to do on this main line is I think we're going to add in a few more signals every here and there. Since there is more traffic, it's a little hard to get trains constantly running through here with the signals being so spaced out. So I think if we just place another set of signals between each existing one, that should help us be able to get a lot more trains to come through this area. And just checking up on some of our lines that we recently placed, looks like over here in Modesto we have a decent amount of people waiting. However, it seems like the train did just leave with a full load of passengers, so we might want to get a second train running on this line to help accommodate for that demand. And then as for the one in Downey, I think we're actually okay because the train is on its way back. If we find it, I believe this is it. So it is on its way back, and it would probably be able to get most of the people waiting at this train station, so I think we're still good over here with the amount of trains that we're running. So next I do want to come through and upgrade our bus networks, as this one's still running horses, so that needs fixed. So we'll come through, and I think we'll go with these buses as they can hold the most people, and we don't necessarily need speed when we're in the middle of a city. And then I think we'll also add one more bus stop all the way up here, and then adjust the line to include that station as well. And then lastly, we do have a bunch of people waiting at a lot of these stops, so I think we'll grab 4 of these and clone them so we end off with a nice even 10 buses. And while we're here in Santa Clarita, I want to upgrade these trucks as well, since they're still horses. We definitely need to change those, and we'll go with these Opal Blitz trucks to carry the food. Alright, and then the next area we probably haven't touched in a while is Winston-Salem, and we'll want to replace these buses with something much newer. And for these ones, I think we'll go with these buses here, and I think we might need a new bus stop over in this area. So let's see if we can get that placed right about there, and then manage the line once again to include this new corner of the city. And then of course, as we did before, clone some of them so that they can keep up with the demand we have at some of these stations. And then over here in Albuquerque, again we'll add a new station, grab this bus line, we'll manage it first and add in the station, and then we'll come in here, upgrade the buses, and then clone a few of them. And then we have another city we haven't really touched in a while, San Jose. And taking a look at these bus stops, I think we might just have to redo the network, since they're not really in a good spot where we can cover a lot of the town. So we'll come through here with some new ones, and I think these 4 should cover the city pretty well. So then we'll come through here, add in that new station, since it looks like the other ones were able to easily adjust, and this should be good over here. I don't think we necessarily need more buses. I think the buses we have here are probably fine. If anything, we maybe get 2 more, but other than that, I think San Jose is doing pretty well off. And then I believe the last city we might need to look at is Montgomery, as it looks like the city might have outgrown some of its bus stops, Although it looks like here it's able to reach pretty much everywhere we need it to. So maybe we will leave this for now. And the buses aren't too bad, but they could definitely be replaced. So we'll do that. And I think that's all we'll do over here. And looking here in Montgomery still, it looks like we have a ton of people waiting for this train, so I think we might need to upgrade these trains if possible. So let's come in, manage these, and replace them, and find something that works for this line. So here's the train that we're going to go for this line. It's the Lehigh Valley 462 Pacific, which we already have running on another line, but I think this train works pretty well for this line considering its power rating here, being able to reach top speed on flat and medium slopes in a fairly decent time, as well as high speed slopes, not being too hard on the engine. So we've greatly improved the capacity. I think we've almost tripled it with this new train, and we'll just replace that, and we can take a look and see what that looks like right here as it comes into the station. So it looks like this train is able to fit in the station. We're starting to get a little long for some of our platforms, but I think that's okay. The only issue we'd run into is just slower loading speeds, but at the moment that doesn't seem to be too big of an issue. So off it goes. We just repainted the cars so it matches the engine a bit more, and I think we should be good to go. Hopefully this will make us a ton of money once it reaches down in Jackson, and hopefully the hill back up isn't too hard on it. So we can see here on the other train that's going up the hill at the moment that it can definitely reach a top speed going up here with pretty much almost a full load, so that's great to see. And so we'll just leave those as they are. So as this train comes into the station, let's take a look here and see just how much money we could be getting out of it. So we'll pull up these finances tab, and you can already see how much the running expenses has gone up. But you can see here the income from that trip basically covers the same growth as our increase in expenses. So I'm pretty happy with that. And let's leave it off like this. Now, very quickly before we move over to starting our cargo hub, I did notice that this station is starting to lose some people, and I'm not really sure if we can add more buses, as they're starting to pretty much come right one after each other, and that doesn't leave too much space for efficiency, as if the buses are waiting for another bus, there's not really any point in having one of those anyway. But I think we could still probably afford to add 5 more buses on each of these routes. The only other option that I could think of is choosing a bus with a faster loading speed, but the buses we're currently running have the fastest loading speed for buses, so that's not really an option. So we'll just increase each of these by 5 buses and hope that that ends up working out for us. And since we just upgraded those buses, or added more buses, we can see our truck depot in action. You can see them coming right through that door and coming out to head towards their respective lines. But anyway, I think that is all that we're going to do for upgrading our trains and everything. So now I want to start getting into putting together a cargo hub where we can easily bring in resources and easily take them out so that they can reach every city across the map. Now, the reason I want to do that is because it's much easier to bring all of our goods to one central location by boat or whatever means necessary. It'd probably be boat, since a lot of our existing infrastructure lies on the edge of a river. So a lot of it will come in by boat, and then it would then be shipped out to any city by train or boat or truck or whatever we see would fit best. And the benefit to that is we can really concentrate our resources and be more efficient with trips. So especially by train, instead of just bringing one resource in per industry, we can move all those resources to one location and then have one train that can carry all 6 resources and then bring it into one of our cities, and then that would just simply allow us to have a lot less vehicle traffic when moving across the map. Now, the location I'm thinking of putting it is probably somewhere in this area, as it's a nice clear open area where we're close to a river, so we can connect it up by boat. We have space for an airport if we ever need it for some odd reason for a city, and it just gives us a bunch of space to really expand and make it feel like a large cargo hub out in this area. Now, I don't think we're going to really get things set up and running in this episode, but I think we'll at least place down the stations, flatten out an area for it, and begin to think which way we want our lines coming in and out of this area. So, first of all, I think this area looks pretty good for where our port's going to be, so we need to get rid of this oil well. We'll just come in here and delete that, and then we'll also delete some of these roads coming through here, so that this allows us to really just flatten out and get whatever we need. And then I think the next thing we'll do is, with this eraser tool, just sort of get rid of a lot of this stuff in the area, as we'll end up placing it back as we need, but we don't want it interfering with stuff that we're already placing. So let's come in here with our cargo harbor, and we're going to select the largest size possible, and we'll get this placed, I think, right about here-ish. I think that fills up the area quite nice, and we might even go a bit bigger just for the sake of filling up the space and making sure that it works. Alright, so I think this is how we're going to end up with our port. So we have all of our docks here, and we have space for 8 ships to come in. I think we might actually get rid of these sort of double docks on the end. I think this ends up looking pretty okay, and we can fill in the spaces on the edges and make it look pretty good just like that. And then, of course, we'll have to add a few more of these main buildings for storage reasons. So we'll just place those in. We'll probably end up covering those up anyway with some other stuff, but that should allow us to carry a ton of resources through this port. So now let's get the landscaping done, and then we can move on to where our truck and train stations will be. So we'll come through here and we'll flatten out the bottom of the water here. We'll want to give some space on each of these ends for ships to come in, and then we can smooth that out, hopefully pretty decently, and then we'll probably bring this all the way up to the edge of the dock there. Alright, so next let's flatten out a large portion of this area so that we can make sure everything will be on the same level when we place it, because with our building assets it doesn't really look that great on slopes, so just giving ourselves a nice flat area to work on would be pretty helpful. So I think we'll go with that. And then we'll have to find some streets. That would look pretty good over here. So then we'll just have to line something up with the front of this main building. I think that looks good. So then we'll just extend this straight out in both directions. Actually, I think we might use a 4-lane road, since we might be anticipating a lot of traffic. So we'll do that, and then we can extend that out. So next we can start to lay out where we want our truck station, and just sort of thinking about it, I think we might want it over in this area. And this is just because we have this road here that might bring a lot of stuff in, unless we connect over as a bridge this way towards Santa Clarita or something, but I don't know. So I think we'll set up for a truck station in this area. Alright, so we ended up with this as our truck station. We gave it tons of space to grow, and I think this ends up coming out quite nice. The road layout might change around it, as we might want to get a few buildings in here, but I think this will work out just fine for now. So we can now move on to the train station. Alright, and then as for our train station, we'll probably go with the biggest train that we can do, and I think we'll give it 6 platforms for now. We'll do high speed and quaternary just for planning in the future, and then we'll plop this down right about here. So we can see here that every one of our stations is connected up to each other, which is good, as they shouldn't really interfere with each other in this configuration. We should be able to get trains in and out of here just fine, trucks just fine, as well as boats. And so I think we'll just flatten out a little bit more of the area around the train station, smooth it all out, and then that's where we'll leave it for now. Alright, so here's how we're going to leave it. So hopefully in the next episode or two we'll come back here and we'll detail this up, and maybe we'll start connecting lines to it then. I'm not too sure. We'll have to think about how we want that transition to go. Since we already have every resource coming into Jackson and Scottsdale, we'll have to sort of evaluate how we want to handle that. But anyway, that's going to be all for this episode. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.